Hey guys, if you like this content, I would greatly appreciate it if you guys like the video and subscribed to my channel. It helps make these videos worth it going forward. Hey guys, Altcoin Sherpa here with a crypto market review. As always, this is not financial advice. I am not an expert. Do your own research. All right, so what the hell is happening with the crypto market? Everything's dumping to hell, and the markets are very bearish in terms of overall sentiment. Let's just get to it. BTC USD on the daily. This chart is the chart that matters right now. I mean, everything's really following Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin's going down, then everything else is going down as well. Personally, I was expecting this kind of price action to come again. Like, it wouldn't surprise me to see 28K get tapped once again. And the reason is that if you look at some of these other lows that were established in the past, you'll see an initial spike down with like a pretty good reaction. And then you'll see price come back down to those lows again. So for instance, here is our spike down. And we can start to mark these areas too on the other parts of the chart. Put my magnet back on. And you can see this all throughout Bitcoin's price history too. So let's just analyze this one back in January 12th. Big wick down, decent bounce after that. So big wick down to 30K, bounce up to 39K. And then price comes back to this original level, takes out the lows, and then it bounces. Once again, here in late February, you see a big down candle from 57K all the way down to 47K. Good reaction initially, and these reactions, they're going to happen on different time frames as well. Like, so for instance, this is the late February candle where you see a good reaction and then it sweeps the lows, trades below it for a while, and then eventually bounces. And there's definitely different areas you can mark on these charts. Like, for instance, like after this first low got taken out, you might want to long some of these other ones. You might have gotten stopped out around here. And then price reverses. This is like fairly common. You'll see like these lows get taken out a lot. And once again, you'll see this big dip here in late April, mid-April. Decent first reaction, price comes back, and then came back higher. What I'm trying to say is that very often you'll see these situations where you'll see price break down, have a good first bounce, range a little bit, come back to these levels and either sweep it or not sweep it, form a higher low, and then reverse. This is like fairly common price action in general, where you'll see price make lower highs, and sometimes it'll go up like this, or sometimes it'll also sometimes you'll also see it sweep the lows and then go higher. Now, it's important to also understand the context. Like back in January of 2021, this was a much different market structure than what we see right now, where you see price go to all-time high levels at 64K and then break down. And now, like, this was clearly a bullish trend, lots of buy volume coming in and everything. And this was the last like market-wide altcoin pump that we had in January, where everything was pumping simultaneously, not just sector to sector, whereas this looks more like distribution. So in general, where are we at? Like, where do I think price is headed? I think that price is still fine for now. Like, when we originally hit this day in mid of May, like May 19th, I thought that this candle down on May 23rd might have been it, like the short-term lows, and like it formed a higher low, but clearly I was very wrong on that. But as I said earlier with these previous examples, and you can go back to pretty much any dump as well for this, like for Bitcoin, like for instance here's the September 25th, 2019. Price comes back down, hits this low, decent first reaction, and then it runs the lows again here. And once again, okay, so like this was different. This March 12th, 2020, I think was a little bit different. That was insane in terms of liquidations relative to the market size. And if you look at previous dumps as well, you'll see that these lows, usually they don't necessarily always get ran, but price usually comes back close to those levels. So like again, back in November 2020, lows were established here at the 16K area, and price went up and then dipped back down to 17K, and then it rebounded, formed a higher low. But the bottom line is that it came somewhat close to those earlier levels. And as I've said, the last few weeks, bottoms take a long time to form. Like you'll see these bottoms take like a long time to form, especially after big moves. You'll see price ping-ponging around for quite some time. With that said, like, do I think that like 28K is going to get swept? Certainly possible. Like I mean, I personally was always of the belief that we would see $45,000 or so before new lows. So for instance, like I thought that we would see something like this. Like I thought we would see price grind back up, 45,000, and then like we can see a breakdown from that point. It would kind of serve some sort of head and shoulders type of pattern that we might see on higher time frame charts. And there's a lot of reasons why I thought this would happen, and I still believe this is going to happen. I believe that there's higher liquidity up at the 45Ks. Like we washed so many people out on this big move down that I feel like there was just more liquidity higher on $45,000 to $50,000. But as of right now, like the market is like testing these lows again, and it's definitely like at a point where 28K could get tapped, or around there, 30K. Personally, I wouldn't really trade huge size here unless you have like really good, if you're like a really good trader, scalper on low time frame charts. It's very choppy overall, and like it's very uncertain too. Like people are very, very scared. In terms of where price is currently at, like I've seen definitely a lot of people talk about the fact that there are less and less bids in this 33K area. Like you could see the support getting tapped over and over. And as if you've seen many of my other videos, I consistently talk about resistance and support getting weaker and weaker the more times it's tapped. With that said, the context does matter. Like the fact that this is all happening within a very short time span, it means that this support level or around this area, like, you know, this demand zone, this will have a higher chance of holding up in the short term, in my opinion, than, for instance, if you compare it to a demand zone in the past. So, for instance, like what we're seeing right now, let me flip right back here. What we're seeing right now in the kind of like the 35 to 30K area, like this type of price action is probably, to me, more similar than what we saw back in January of 2021, where you see these the demand area getting tapped over and over again in a short amount of time. Like this isn't necessarily as bearish if you see something like this, what we saw in the summer of 2019. So for instance, over the span from July all the way to September, this demand zone got tapped over and over and over again. You can see price first tap this area from its breakdown of $14,000 all the way down to 9.5. Good first reaction all the way back up to 13. Makes a lower high, taps again. So it's also important to note that this made a lower high, taps again, makes another lower high, makes another lower high. And I always like to compare it to a bouncing ball on the ground. You take a ball and you bounce it on the ground. The first reaction that you drop it, best reaction. Second one, not so much. Third one, not so much. Fourth one, not so much. And then it eventually just breaks down. So this is like what we kind of see for a lot of these types of coins in general. where we see price kind of bouncing and coming down. And this is kind of like what you'll see here in this situation where price taps the support area over and over again. Like another common example is the 6K level back in 2018. Don't remind me of this. This is like very, very unfortunate. Bad memories of this, but like similar to this, you can see good reaction, then it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. So what I'm trying to say is the support being weaker over multiple taps, like yes, that happens on all time frames, but it's more significant over a longer time frame. Meaning if you start to see that kind of bouncing ball analogy over a longer time span, like this was over like, you know, a 3 or 4 month time period like we saw back in 2019 or 2018, then that is a lot more worrisome than when we see price tapping this current area a lot in a short amount of time. Now, that's not to say this is like super bullish or something, or I'm not saying like, you know, prices are getting like accumulated or prices are getting absorbed. Or I'm sorry, the selling is getting absorbed. I'm not, you know, it certainly could be. I'm not positive on that, but the overall idea is that this type of price action here in a short amount of time is not as bearish as what we saw back in 2018 and 2019 for Bitcoin. With that said, like price could certainly still nuke down like to 28K. And I'm also preparing my own body and mind with the fact that, yeah, price could go to like 20,000. Like it's certainly possible. Like if that happens, it's just like a bear market for a while, and price will need one final sweep, and then then we'll go to like some consolidation period. So like what we might see is something like this, like where price just ranges for a while and then like has one last nasty fucking wick where everybody just dies to 20K, and then it just ranges for a long time, like all throughout the summer, just ranges. Ranges need big moves to start the range. You need like one big washout, shakeout, whatever you want to call it, or you need one big pump. You know, theta is also really common for like you see like a big pump, then it just like does this for a while, and then one big pump, and then it accumulates again. So ranges are always established after one big move. You know, if it does go to like 20,000 or something like that, then I expect like a long accumulation period. I'm still hopeful that 45K will come next before new lows, but I will say that like my overall idea on that is getting tested more and more every day, and like maybe I'm just wrong. Like that's you know, I was wrong with this drop. Like I did not expect this, but let's just see. Like overall, I'm still of the opinion that like the 45K area will get tapped. 45 to 50K region is like the next area up. I still feel that there's higher liquidity up there, and it's entirely possible that price comes back down to like 30,000 or maybe 28 or something like that, sweeps those lows, and then goes back up. That's certainly a possibility. And of course, the third possibility that everybody believes right now is that we're just going to go straight to like 20,000 and we're just going to like nuke. Maybe that's going to happen. Maybe we see this more consolidation, and then maybe we just take one big wipe, shake out to like 20,000, and then like everybody gets fucking destroyed, and we all get poor, and then we see hit like a long consolidation period. That's another scenario too that I'm viewing. But as of right now, I'm still like of the opinion that 45 to 50K will come, personally. But again, didn't play the last move very well, so I can't really say otherwise. The ETH USD chart looks better than Bitcoin, but it still doesn't look like super great. We're seeing price kind of hit these like kind of rising wedges, which like, you know, are not great, or bear flags, whatever you want to call them. I normally would have agreed with the bear flag analogy or like comparison before if there weren't so many liquidations on this like one big wick down. Like, so for me, like a bear flag would be more, it'd be better if price was kind of doing like the regular downtrend grind that we saw in the fall of 2020, where altcoins all just like sold off huge, versus this mass liquidation cascade that we saw in late May, this made me think that this was more like a kind of a grinding price action where price will just go higher, because of the nasty liquidations. But you know, as of right now, it just looks like kind of bad. But overall, I still believe that ETH will kind of follow Bitcoin price action, and that's kind of like my overall idea, is that ETH will still kind of hit this like mid 3K area and then like potentially break down after that. I also want to be clear too with regards to Bitcoin. I do believe that it will go to 45,000 or so, but I don't know what's going to happen after that. Like, it could certainly go to like 20,000 or wherever you guys think it's going to go, but my idea is still that there's higher liquidity up here. But you know, maybe it just ranges for a bit and then just nukes. Like, that's certainly a possibility too. So anyway, those are kind of my overall market thoughts. I'm kind of just waiting for a low around here, or maybe 30,000, and then maybe 28K. Lows might get swept and then a rebound, but I still believe that like we would go to 45,000 before new lows. And by new lows, I mean like closing below 28K convincingly and like going to like 20,000. Like, if it just goes to 20,000 from here, like I'll be a little bit surprised. Like, if it just like ranges and then just totally breaks down like to 20,000, I would be pretty surprised in that situation. But again, never say never. Certainly a possibility. So thanks guys for watching this video on Bitcoin and ETH. Hopefully you guys are being safe and not getting too chopped up around here.